Hello, my name is Lillian Podlog and I'm a software developer with Fluree. In this video, I'm going to give you a quick tour of the different query languages that we support in FlureeDB and hopefully give you a sense of the benefits and drawbacks of all of those query languages. At the end of this video, you probably won't be able to write a SPARQL query unless you already know how to do that, but you will know why you might want to learn how to write a SPARQL query. So let's begin. The first query language we're going to talk about is FlureeQL, which is specifically designed for a Fluree database. And it is a JSON-based query language. So you can see here, select star from chat, so that this is just an object with keys and values. And one of those values is a vector, and the other one of those values is a string. And as you can imagine, because it is a JSON-based query language, it is very easily composable programmatically. So that's one huge benefit of FlureeQL. So with this query, I'm going to select all of my chat messages here. And you can see that my grand total of one chat message. You can see that every chat message also has a person. So I can very easily crawl the graph in FlureeQL to not only get my chat messages, but to also get the persons that are associated with those chat messages. And if I want, I can continue. So this chat message, this is the chat message from Jane. It's connected to a person with a handle JDoe and full name Jane Doe, which that checks out. But we can also see that Jane in our database has some favorite artists. So I can continue to crawl the graph and not only see, this chat and this chat's person, but also that person's favorite artists. And I get a response back that also includes artists. So this query language allows you very easily to crawl the graph and is very easily composed in JSON. There's another type of query that you can issue using FlureeQL, and it's what we call an analytical query. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on analytical queries because there's a lot of background that you need to know. But basically, analytical queries allow you to do really complicated things like variable binding to filter the data that you get back. You can do some mathematical things like get back counts and averages of the data that you want returned. And you can also very, very easily issue queries that join across multiple data sets. So that means you can issue a query in an analytical query that finds a person's favorite books in the current version of the database as well as the database as of block 5. So you can issue queries across blocks. You can also issue queries across a Fluree database and Wikidata. So you can get not only a person's favorite artists, but also some works of art that those artists have created. And so analytical queries allow you to is a really rich query language that allows you to do some complicated and interesting stuff. GraphQL is a query language developed by Facebook and released in 2012. And so one of the big benefits of GraphQL, just in and of itself, is, before we get to itself, is around its toolings. There's a lot of tooling and a lot of help available for you if you want to use GraphQL. But the really big draw of GraphQL is that the shape of the query that you are issuing matches the shape of the result. So you have very fine-grained control over the data that is returned back to you. So in this case, we have a chat and a message, and you can see that the very shape of our data is similar to the shape of our result. And we can, just like in FlureeQL, keep crawling the graph to not only get the chat, but the person associated with that chat, and also the favorite artists associated with that person. And you can see that this shape is very similar to this shape. And this is not dissimilar to FlureeQL. But I think in GraphQL it's a little bit more stark how similar the shapes are. But in both query languages, you have really fine-grained control over the data that's returned to you. Finally, the last query language that we support is SPARQL. And SPARQL is very similar to analytical queries in Fluree. And so all the things that you can do in analytical queries, you can do in SPARQL. So you can do variable binding. You can see right here, we have this FD in front of our predicate. And so that is specifying the source. So you can issue queries across databases at different points in time. You can issue queries across a Fluree database and Wikidata. And so anything that you can do in FlureeQL using analytical queries, you can do in SPARQL, it's actually our version of SPARQL. So some of the things that you can do in like Wikidata's implementation of SPARQL, you can't yet do in Fluree. So that's just something to note. And also, you can issue transactions to FlureeDB in both FlureeQL and GraphQL, but you can't issue transactions using SPARQL. So that's just one thing to note as you are delving into Fluree and you are finding out about all the different query options that are available to you.